Let's take a deep breath and bring all that goodness back in together. This is, thank you. This is the Unity Church. And I could leave right now. I'm so excited and so blessed. Can I ask all of our visitors to please stand? Please, 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 please. I mean, what? Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you all for showing up. This is Black History Month. And I invited some friends, and I decided that I wanted to have some church. And I decided I wanted everybody, we're not just going to celebrate Black history, we're going to go on the Black history journey in celebration. So for those who are visiting Unity for the first time and new to this Unity message, you know, we heard a lot about this one consciousness. This church was founded in the 1800s by Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. And they had this concept of this transcendental type of love, you know, this one consciousness, this philosophy that your thoughts create, that there is this one God, this one energy, and then that we all grow. And that's exactly what I believe. Does anyone else? That's exactly what I believe. So when I found this place, I said, oh my goodness, you know, I grew up in the church, in the Baptist church, and my parents, my dad's Kojic. I've gone to all types of faiths. But at the end of the day, I believe in God. I believe in the goodness of God. And I can tell you, so I entitled today From Stressed to Blessed. And the subtitle, One Black Woman's Spiritual Take on Black History Month. Because I turned 56 this month. I am Black history. And something that I'm going to tell a lot of secrets today about the Black church, Black History Month, that a lot of you may not know, but you're going to know today. You're going to know the feeling, the vibe, the energy, because the celebration of Black history is the celebration of American history. It's the celebration of white history. It's the celebration of how the Spirit of God works in us to overcome the most crazy conditions we didn't think we could overcome. 425 years ago in 1619, 20 people were dropped, black slaves from Africa. They weren't slaves then, they were just people. Imagine someone coming to your house and taking your kids. Take them in and put them in a transatlantic boat with no facilities. For months, many people didn't make it. That's how this started. 1619, they call it Comfort Point in Virginia, Hampton, Virginia. We lived there. We stood on that ground. And guess what we did? We thank God that we're here today, that we survived. The story, the celebration of Black history is the overcoming. It's the beauty. It is how we come together. And it is how we can see the messages of the Fillmores, the messages of Christianity, of all of the faith religions, of all the spiritual traditions, is the same at its core, okay? And those of us who want to live that and who know that can go into it, can enter from any place. So today we're going to enter it from Black history. Okay, so we come over here, we're carried over here, we're stolen over here 425 years ago. Over the next 300 years, over estimates are 12 million people were brought over. Up to 50% of them died and were thrown into the Atlantic on the way over. They couldn't even make the trip. Then get here, split up, made to do all types of things. I want you to, we're in the spirit of oneness now. This is the God that we're in. So we're in a place where there is no race. We're talking in love and reality. And then the trick that what Black folk know, why Black History Month is such a big celebration, for me anyway, is that the question for the rest of this talk is, how do you get over something like that? How I got over, how do I go from stressed to blessed? And the only way I can do that is really the only good thing that we got when we first came over here was they gave us religion. They gave us the Bible. They didn't give us the Bible because they wouldn't let us read. That's why you don't even need the book. They gave us the idea. They let us, that's the one thing, because if they keep worshiping this God out there, they're going to keep working and doing what we want here. But they didn't know the trick, is that when you got God, you got everything you need. Right. You can treat me as bad as you want. I have been counted out. I've been abused, misused, overlooked, underrated, and still I'm here. Still I rise. You can't keep me down. I go ahead and we go in bunches. You think you can beat somebody down, but the Spirit of the Lord is in unity and oneness. So you cram us in these rooms, and all that energy of God is together, because we know that the reality is the Spirit. Because if otherwise, we'd get broken. You would be broken down. So bring this into your daily life. We're all the same. We all have children. We all have hurts. We all have pains. We all have, lay that at the altar. Give that to God. How do you do it? How do you do it when you're being beaten? How do you do it when you're, this isn't long ago, y'all. My grandparents couldn't drink out of some water fountains and go some places. We're talking about now. I mean, I still get nervous when the police is behind me in the car. Am I lying? This is a thing that keeps going, but what do we know? What do we know? So we got King Jesus. We got the Buddha mind. We got Allah, Muhammad, Yahweh, Jehovah, all of them. We know that there is a spirit, whatever you call it. The author of all that is a consciousness of one that has no dogma. It is not judgmental, like some. It is forgiving. I know they say, how could you forgive and turn the other cheek? Because that's the God in me. Without the God in me, without the God in you, people are just going to be miserable. How do you have forgiveness? And people do things. So the forgiveness of people is that it's not people, it's that they're not connected with the consciousness of God. It's the poison. It's not the people, it's the poison. There's poison like greed, like separation, like judgment and hate. That's poison. Those people, let's forgive them, for they know not what they do. Those of us who do know and stay in the energy of God, we're able to have this uplifting to live in harmony with one another more and more. The fear goes away, and we feel blessed. Blessed, blessed, blessed. I bless all of you, and I feel your blessings back to me. And so church in the Black community is a very big thing, because that's the one day or the one time we could all get together. And what did we do? Sang, 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 eat food, make food from the scraps that they left us and make it into some good stuff. People like it now. We like grits. It's in vogue. Greens, the stuff that people threw out. We make it into a delicacy. That's the goodness of God. That's the creativity. You go from stress to blessed. Anything that gets celebrated is because it went through something. Martin Luther King Day, Christmas, Veterans Day, 4th of July. The only reason for any celebration is because you got over something. So Black History Month is, how I got over. And history doesn't stop, right? Okay, now it's time for some metaphysical consciousness stuff. Because I always say time is what? An illusion. Everything is eternal. Time can seem fast, it can seem slow, and that's because it is a perception. It is a way of our time. We are all of one consciousness in God. Everything is eternal. So when you back up from your physical self, from what people do to you with your 5 senses, then you have multi-sensory. You have senses of that love that we touched just a few minutes ago. That sense of God, that's your 6th multi-sensory, most fundamental sense of self-actualization. Stay there. When we stay there, and we stayed there as a people, we stay there at this unity church, we're able to rise together. So this is what we talk, the metaphysics of divinity. That's what we talk about here. And that's what we're celebrating Black. That's what Black History Month teaches us. I mean, that's the way I like to look at it. Because the overcoming, the energy, so we have religion. They give us this religion which is great. So now in every moment, we're talking, we're praying. I mean, okay, it's going to be okay. We're praying because God is a good God. You won't hear people in the black. I'm going to veer off what I was going to say. My son, after his car accident, you may not know, my son is a quadriplegic. My kids were in a car accident 14 years ago. And after the car accident, we were having prayer sessions in the morning and people coming in and praying and putting hands. And one of his friend's mother said, I don't understand your family. Why they be praying after what happened to you? Shouldn't they be mad at God? I'd tell her about Black History Month. Because when things get tough, we go to God harder.
That's right.
Harder. I had to talk to that lady. And my son was 15. Don't you try to put stuff in his mind. We done that too long. We go to God in prayer when something is wrong. We don't get mad. I mean, maybe your knee jerk is to get mad. We do get mad sometimes, but we don't stay there. It takes a hot minute to know where all my blessings come from. To remember it. All we're doing today is being reminded of our true nature. Whatever you have going on in your life, look to your black neighbors about how to overcome trauma and adversity in life. Go to God in prayer and meditation to escape the smallness and the littleness of the poison that people will put at you, and get with the Spirit of God that is healing, giving, prosperous, abundant, and for you. So whoever's name you call in this, the most important thing is where your spirit is. We raise our vibration. All things are made of energy. God is. This is energy. It's vibration. So all we have to do, I'm making it sound easier than it is, but all we have to do is raise our vibration, which means back up from our human self that makes human mistakes, connect with and align with the goodness of God, raise our vibration by being around high vibration people like this place, the spirit of love. Just by being here, goodness is already coming and magnifying to you, because that's how God works. It's the law of giving and receiving. So I think that the real celebration here, that a way to celebrate Black History Month is to celebrate the history, to literally celebrate the history, not sugarcoat it, not act like it didn't happen, but because the victory, Yolanda Adams has a song, this battle ain't yours, it's the Lord's. I love that song. I tried to get Kadisha to sing it. This battle ain't yours, it's the Lord's. We have so many sayings, so many things, and so I'm dedicating this conversation to my grandmother and my grandmother's grandmother and all my ancestors. And they're right here in the room. All of y'all's are too, everybody's. We can't not be there because this is the fullness of God. This is unity, literally one consciousness of love. I try to, in every time that I'm here, not talk about it theoretically. No, literally right now, feel the love. You've put it on. You've blessed people. Open your heart. Receive the blessing. This is real work, real time. Lay your problems down. Leave them here. When you go home, think about God. Think about the goodness of the one loving Christ within you, and let that be your guiding star. Whatever you want to do starts with a thought. So I want to just say also, and let some of our visitors know that there's 5 unity principles that we talk about. And I think this keeps me framed in right. God is all there is. We are divine in nature. Human beings are divine. Thoughts have creative power. Prayer and meditation are the greatest powers in the universe. And it is not enough to understand. We must live them. So today what we're doing principle number 5. We are living these principles in the visioning and understanding of this and the love and compassion. We put over the history that has now brought us into this victorious place of a more harmonious, a more understanding world. And that the love of God that we have and that we continue to show and possess is what God asks for us. So we're doing what we say we're going to do. Okay, the third point, thoughts have creative power. This is part of the metaphysical too. I love it. This is everything. High vibration, keep your vibration high. How do you do that? You have to keep your thoughts high vibration. Because before something becomes a thing, it's a thought. So if you focus on your thoughts, then you create a thing. If you don't focus on your thoughts and you get a thing and you're mad about it, then you can recalibrate. Because otherwise you're letting the world, you're living someone else's goals if you're not being consciously aware. So the practice is to be aware of what you're thinking. Think in one consciousness, loving kindness. How can I be helpful? How can I be giving? And with that, things will come to you. So I'm going to share a couple things before I get out of here and that were helpful to me and that make me also remember this historic journey that we've taken. When I was going through all of that after my kid's car accident, people kept saying, oh, remember Job. They thought that was encouragement. That did not encourage me. Man, that made it worse. Job, if y'all don't know, anyone who doesn't know the story of Job, I wish I had my phone because I said, give me a 3-second chat GPT on the book of Job, but just suffice it to say, all his kids died. He lost everything. He was sick, all to stayed faithful to God. And then he was struggling. He was boxing with God. And God said, do you know how I make these universes stay in orbit and how I made all this stuff? Do you understand how the universe works? And that still didn't help me then. And what I have learned since is that the lesson is, despite these challenges, Job remained faithful to God. That was really questioning but never renouncing his belief in God. And then knowing what happens ultimately, we find redemption and restoration. Somebody say amen on that. That's good. It took me so many years to get that. So when someone says, remember Job, don't say that. Say something better, like, remember God and how he will restore you. When I look back over my life, I'm still here. I'm still here. So the proof is in the experience. And as we're all sitting here, we're still here. Whatever the boss tries to throw at you, the children, the spouse, the community, the politicians, the laws, the Supreme Court, whatever they try to throw at you, just know that you got God. We got King Jesus. We got the Buddha mind. We got all of this for us. We can't be let down, okay? You go crazy looking at all of this. I mean, the slave trade is still happening. There's human trafficking today, y'all. People, if we get caught up in what people do, we will go insane. We got to get caught up in what God wants us to do. And that's how we keep peace. That is the peace within. That is the inner peace. That's how we can be kind to someone who hasn't always been kind to me. So I wanted to talk about also the fruit of the Spirit, because this is the offshoot of Black History Month and suffering and all of that. You got to stay in the Spirit more And why is that good? Because the Spirit gives good fruit. There's 9 fruit. I can never call them off. So I'm going to try a little bit, and I'm going to look at my notes, but y'all feel free to call them out. Love, joy, peace, forbearance. That means patience, right? Okay. Kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. All right. Another word for that is equanimity. This is Galatians 5:22 through 23. Like, I keep trying to remember it, but I can't. I'm this old. I know it's 9, and I know the fruit of the Spirit. There is no law against those. They're so good. So all I got to do is be kind. I'll stay with that. Faithful. Good. I can pick any one of them. Pick one. But practice the fruit of the Spirit. Because when you're in the fruit, when you're in the Spirit, no, you're in the Spirit, and the fruit is what you bear. It's what you have. It's what comes to you. So these things that we celebrate through Black history and, you know, fortunately being able to keep religion in that early sense of having God, or, you know, and a Bible stories, even though we didn't have a Bible, we couldn't read. These stories, these wisdoms, these things, they keep us vital. They keep us in the bosom of God. And so I dedicate part of this to the grandmothers, because there is the divine feminine, which is like the womb of the world that sort of cradles us and, you know, like, you know, like breastfeeding. You know, like just hugging. So I'm dedicating this to the divine feminine, because that's where we go. That's where we rest. That's what we do. We do this as mothers and grandmothers, and you don't have to be a female to have a divine feminine. There's a divine feminine and masculine, and it's all together. And it's so combustible and more as you open your awareness and appreciation. So remember that when you back up, when you're stressed, and you back up from it and go into the Spirit, go into your sixth sense, into the goodness of God, prayer, meditation, nature, kindness, just go away in your mind. Slaves couldn't go anywhere physically. In their mind, in communion with one another, is where freedom is. In the mind, in the thought, before the physical. That's how you go from stressed to blessed. It happens in the physical, because in what's happening in the world, we'd be depressed all the time. This thing called flight and fight or flight, this hormone, this chemical that happens, that's natural, you know, like when you're in the woods and a bear comes, that's the example they always say, that makes you you have to go. You know when to go, just because danger puts it out there. Okay. They're talking about that a lot now, like that's why stress is high and disease is high and all these things. Well, think about Black history. We've been doing stress for 425 years. That fight or flight doesn't really, it's always a little bit there. And so that also keeps you connected a little bit more to God in a different way. You got to have faith. You got to work those muscles like all the time. And hallelujah, that God has done that so much, that found a way to make a way. So I'm going to, there was a highlight from Emily Cady. Gosh, I wish I could remember it now. But I want to tell you that I want to read 1 John 4:4-6. You, dear children, are from God and have overcome them, because the one who is in you is greater than the one who is in the world. That's what I'm saying. And there was another way of saying it in here. I'm not even going to try to find it yet, but this is a great book around what the Unity Church believes in. And she says a lot of things that are so parallel. The Unity conversation is so parallel to all of like the things I learned in my church growing up. It's just said in a different way. And in a way that is pleasing and embracing. And so it's so amazing to me when I go back and say, so because the one in you is greater than the one who is in the world. They are from the world and therefore speak from the viewpoint of the world, and the world listens to them. We are from God, and whoever knows God listens to us, but whoever is not from God does not listen to us. This is how we recognize the spirit of truth and the spirit of falsehood. We have, so, the spirit of the fruit. I mean, how you recognize the fruit of the Spirit, you can recognize it. It's through the truth. It's in us. It's absolutely in us. So I want us to just all feel the blessings of God that's in us. And as we begin to close with the prayer, I have been studying a little bit more in the Buddhist tradition lately, and there's this green Tara. She has 21 emanations. There's this prayer. I'm going to pray with you and over you and hope you'll pray it back to me, but it is the highest motivation. It's so beautiful. And just open your hearts so that you can feel it and take it. And it's called the 4 Immeasurables. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free from sorrow and the causes of sorrow. May all beings never be separated from the sacred happiness, which is sorrowless. May all beings live in equanimity and live believing in the equality of all without attachment for those they hold close or aversion for those we hold at a distance. Boundless love, joy, and equanimity, compassion for all without exception. And so it is.